All right, testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We are live, folks. What is up, everyone? It is your boy, Shizeman21, and welcome to another episode of. Hold on. I haven't done this in a minute. I haven't done this in a minute. Hold up. Weeb Talk. Episode 19. The long-awaited episode of the Weeb Talk podcast of 2023. It has been quite a bit of time since we last talked about the Weeb Talk episode, and if I remember correctly, we was talking about some lores, man. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and recap just real quick on like episode 18, so that people understand, because it's been a minute. Of course, I want to give you guys some recaps on that a little bit. But if you guys have not checked out episode 18, make sure you guys check it out. It's really, really good. So for the topics we were talking about, of course, the lores in anime, and that is, the DBZ lore, the One Piece lore, more specifically Joy Boy, and the X lore, the 1997 version of X, or whatever, just the series itself, with X. So we talked about that in exclusive or extended details on a few of them. We might do another lore series where we might talk about the video game lores. More specifically, I would probably talk about let's see, Skyrim lore. There's a lot to talk about that. With the Elder Scrolls series as a whole. I would say God of War, but I haven't completed God of War nor God of War Ragnarok yet. I know the whole entire series from God of War 1 and, of course, God of War 3 and the Ascension and whatnot. It's just that, again, I have not completed God of War, the PlayStation 4 yet, nor the Ragnarok edition. I will get those done at some point this year. Maybe this month. Who knows? It depends on how it's going to be scheduled. But otherwise, that's going to be, the recap of all of it. Make sure you guys check out, episode 18 for full coverage of that. But for this episode, which is episode 19, dang, we're getting close to episode 20, man. Ooh, I want that to be a very special one too. A very, 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 very special one. Because it's a doozy to be doing a Weeb Talk podcast, man. And again, I haven't found anybody to collaborate with other than, of course, my best friend. Not yet though, but eventually I will. So for today's topic, we're going to be pretty much talking about, I guess I'll just show it to you guys real quick. Switch. It's going to be about the timeline. So basically, we're going to be talking about Attack on Titan timeline, Star Wars timeline, Legend of Zelda timeline, and Kingdom Hearts timeline. So it's really, we're just going to be talking about timelines here. I might go into some explicit details on that, but honestly, it might be a bit convoluted, and the last time I tried to go extend it over an hour or whatnot, somehow it cut off. So I'll try my best to condense it as best as possible. Even though I really wish I could talk about it a lot longer. However, with how podcast usually works is you gotta make sure you format your sentences or whatever, but whatever. So otherwise, I think we're going to have to cut off the lollygag in here, and let's go ahead and get straight into the timelines. Starting with Attack on Titans. So, there has been a lot of things going on in Attack on Titans. Seriously, there has just been a lot of stuff. From Season 1 all the way up to Season 4, and I think they're going to be continuing with the new series right now, with Eren Yeager now being a monster and terrorizing humanity and all this really crazy shenanigans, man. But it really all started because of episode 3, man. It just that particular, or not episode 3, my bad, season 3, bro. That season, oh man, to this day, it tripped me the fuck up, dude. It was just a lot of stuff going on, and then overlapping a lot of interesting intricate details going on, and then Eren was acting all a little moody, and then afterwards, like it showed like in season 4 where he started like going against the Myrons, I think, or the what the fuck were they called? Hold on. Uh-oh. Titan. The Marylands? The Marlins or the Marylands? Yeah, those guys where they just like pretty much have like their own like Titans where they just like have them as like secret weapons or whatnot to go against the other shape shifting Titans that turn out to be like different. I don't know. Just looking up some things real quick. Paradise Island. So basically, Paradise Island is where it's all the people like that we know of, like from Aaron to Levi to all that stuff. That's Paradise Island. Whereas like the Merlins are like another city that's like on the other side of the city or whatnot. Or hold on a second, guys. All right, so my bad. I had to check on what was going on. I thought someone called me, but it's just as far as I can like pretty much tell, it's just like the Merlins or whatever, the Merrily or whatever, are technically speaking the bad guys. I don't know. As far as we can kind of tell, because like they have done some pretty shady things, especially like when it was revealed in season 3 of just how much like shady business that was going on, especially with like when Aaron Yeager's father was originally from there, and like there was just a lot of like stuff going on, and then apparently the Beast Titan is revealed to be one of the dude's sons, so that actually makes him and Aaron like have brothers essentially, and then I think they ended up having like a what was it? They had a conversation about like how they were controlled like the Fountain Titans. I forgot the lady's name by the top of my head. I think it was like Eldia or something. I don't remember. I think it was Eldia. The Fountain Titan herself or whatnot. But yeah, Eldians and Merlins. Yep. So things start to like kind of like start to like get more convoluted as like the season 4 goes around, because like I think if I remember correctly, Aaron Yeager goes out and I think he acquires a Fountain, but before it happens, it's revealed that he has been like messing around with the timelines this whole time to like reshape history, because like it's basically just like a cycle where it's just like a vicious cycle of like death and rebirth to the same body and same mind and all this other stuff. And apparently in the anime it's just like it's a little bit more different, because like when I believe, what was it, in the anime he said that why is Mikasa there, whereas like in the manga it was like it was a lot more peaceful. So I guess it's like a cycle repeating itself a few times. And then I remember there was like a what was it? There was this theory going around with the whole anime where it's just like Mikasa might die. So that might happen. Who knows? You never really know. But just like again, the timeline, man, Attack of Titans, bro. Especially after like season 3 and then like season 4 rolled around, stuff started to like make some sense, but sometimes doesn't make quite a lot of sense, because then it's essentially just like a time paradox, and just it gets a little convoluted. It's kind of like Metal Gear Solid, where it's just like whenever it's like you mess around with time or whatnot, or just like die or whatnot, it creates a weird time paradox or something. That was like in Metal Gear Solid 3, I believe, with the Naked Snake, who will eventually become like Big Boss, and who ends up being like the bye bye, love you too. Shout out to my auntie. But what was it? So he ends up becoming the father of, I think, Solid Snake, Solid Snake, Solid Snake, and then Liquid Snake, I believe. Those are like the 3 biological sons or clones of him. Solid Snake is like basically a carbon, like complete carbon copy of Naked Snake, whereas like I believe Solid and Liquid Snake were born. Yes, they were like basic. They were still like clones of the original Snake, but they were like born. So think of it like, for example, Boba Fett or what was the other? It was the other Fett, but fuck, what was the guy's name? Hold on. But that it was in like Star Wars series. So Boba Fett father. Jango Fett, that's his name. So Jango Fett, who is revealed to also be you know, the founder of all the clones of the stormtroopers. Well, originally, no, the clone troopers, as they were called. So it was something like that. But anyways, we're kind of getting convoluted with the Metal Gear Solid and the Star Wars series. Speaking of which, we will be talking about that here in a minute. But all I'm gonna say is just like, again, Attack on Titan. At least its timeline gets a little bit messy, especially when we reach season 4, because it's like, essentially, from what we all know from like just the beginning, it was just like, it feels like it's a weird cycle going on. What happens is like the Titans come in, they attack, they kill everybody. Eren, vows to destroy the Titans, and then later on, what happens in season 4, season 5, because of what happened in season 3. So then, like in season 2, things started to get a little bit more convoluted when there was like a Titan that was on the wall, and then afterwards, stuff started to get a little bit more convoluted with like the armored and the colossal Titan revealed to be Beto and I think what was his name? Fuck, what was his name? I don't. You know what? I'll just look it up. Armored. What was his fucking name? It was Reiner. That was his name. So Reiner and Vector, like revealing themselves as like the Titan, and then like causing a lot of like, fighting amongst each other. Beto in season 3 getting eaten afterwards. Just like so many things. It's basically Game of Thrones, but like taken to the extreme with timelines. If you really, really kind of think about it, because a lot of main characters do eventually die. I also believe that even Sasha, the one that like is like a little idiot that also eats bread, unfortunately dies from Gabby. And do not get me started on Gabby. Do not get me started on that little fucker. She should have been aborted. But I digress. My Gabby hatred for that character is just like, it's high. So, I cannot stand her ass. That's all I'm saying. It's like she's a bitch. That's all I'm gonna say. We should have been aborted a very long time ago. That's all I'm saying. I know it's messed up to say, but guess what? She's a horrible person. But I guess so is like anybody else. So it's just, I don't know. It's complicated, but otherwise, I believe after like I think Eren got shot one on in the head, he was supposedly dead, but in reality he's somewhere else. Trying to take on the Founding Titans powers and stuff, and just like changing up the timelines essentially. So like, what actually happened was, so the lady that was that ate like the mom or whatnot, or anybody else, is revealed that the reason why she stopped and just like kept it going to go to a different place is because Eren interfered with that. He didn't want Beto to get killed in that particular timeline at all, or just like killed at all. So it was just like, is it a UFO? Nah, probably not. My bad. I thought that was like a UFO, just like hovering right there, but no, it definitely wasn't. I mean, I hope not. That'd be kind of creepy. But otherwise, it's just Eren basically changed up history here, where he just like he allowed the female-ish Titan to like go, and also here's the crazy thing: that one that like ate the mom, it's actually the Titan Beast's mom. Like I forgot her name, but that was like the dad's like former wife before he went to the Paradise Island. You know, after acquiring like the what was it, Attack Titan from this other dude who then talked about something about like protecting Mikasa and I believe Armin, and of course like the guy obviously not knowing like who those two are for obvious reasons is like, what does that mean? And it's like revealed that no, Aaron was controlling all that for some reason. Look, it's very very convoluted. It's like Back to the Future, but it's just more confusing. Or like Rick and Morty, but even more deeply confusing because it's just like it's kind of like a weird again time paradox again about like Attack of Titans. And then what will beat it like pretty soon that we'll get into at some point, which will again I'll get into, which is of course Kingdom Heart, because again Kingdom Heart takes the biggest place as the most confusing timeline. But otherwise, Attack on Titan itself is convoluted as fuck. So, that's something that we cannot take away is that AOT is very, very complex in a lot of ways. Even right now, as I'm explaining the timeline a little bit as best as possible, I'm still pretty much like missing like a few points here and there. So if you guys want me to cover that just a little bit more, I can. It's just that I'm trying to like see how we can piece the timelines together. So we start with season 1, obviously. The whole situation with the Titans, of course, and then ends with Aaron requiring Titan power again, for the first time, even though it's revealed that he had that a lot earlier in the past, but we're not gonna get into it quite yet. But it's just that in the first season, this was like his first time awakened, and he had this like um passion to like want to destroy all the Titans for what they have done to his mom, and it was just like, it's gonna be interesting showing in the series of him kicking ass and becoming a hero or not. But then it gets good and good because when like the end of like season 1 ends with like what was the female Titan name? I think her. So it's where Armin X Annie. That's her name. So Annie is revealed to also be like a Titan shifter as well. So she was also the same person that also like killed off the squads that was there with like Aaron and stuff, and also subsequently defeated him too, and almost killed him by eating him and stuff. And Mikasa, being Mikasa and being the love of Aaron, even though Aaron likes to play freaking games. Like that's one thing I don't like about Aaron sometimes. Is like the thing is, we all know he is in love with Mikasa. We all know that. But for whatever reason, he just thinks like, oh, it's going to mess up another timeline. It's going to create all this. It's like, dude, it's all in your fucking head sometimes. But whatever. It's Attack on Titan. It is what it is. However they want to do the story is however they want to do the story. It's just that, I don't know how they're going to end it, though. That's the thing. Always ending the story, especially as convoluted as Attack on Titan, it's never ever easy. Even like the ending that they did with the manga is just spoilers. It's just like it's convoluted as hell too, because it's just like it's left so ambiguous as to what's really going on and all types of stuff, man. And it seems like the cycle repeats. I don't know. It's very complex, man. But otherwise, yeah. Attack on Titans again starts off with like Aaron, being young and heroic and wanting to defeat all the Titans. Then ends with Annie getting defeated. Then afterwards, they discovered that there was a Titan that was like hiding beneath the walls. They're trying to like figure that out. Annie gets encapsulated for a very long time throughout the whole series until like season 4. So that was kind of interesting. So then just in season 2 and season 3, it's just like it's just like battle. Well, eventually it becomes a battle. So like season 2 starts with I believe like a few scouts getting like eaten alive. Then afterwards, the main cast like make it out. Thankfully, by like by a scene that Ymir was revealed to also be a Titan shifter, and all this other interesting situations going on. and then it starts to get even more convoluted as like Aaron like sees like Reiner and Bethor, and then I believe I remember correctly, Reiner says like, "Look, I'm the armor titan, and this is the colossal titan, all this other stuff," and it was until they actually showed it, and Mikasa was ready to like kill the ass. That's the thing. She's always ready to go down. And funny enough, like she was about to kill who was it? Reiner, but like of course Reiner and Beth turn into like time shifters, and then they cause a whole wreck, and then it starts this like whole civil war, which was just crazy. And then this like I remember the scene where it's just like I think Mikasa was like looking at Beth like she's about to murder him. Like it was insane, dude. And then like on season 3, where just things just end in such a very convoluted way, where it's just like I believe Eren gets kidnapped, and then like his backstory gets like told by this guy. I forgot who it was, but like he was a bastard. So I believe Historia, formerly known as I forgot what's Historia's like name before. I forgot, but I'll just go with Historia because that's really her name. But otherwise, yeah, Historia is like an interesting character because it's just she's like the most important character in the series because of the fact that her family lineage is like closer to like the kings of the old, where they said to have like Titan powers or whatnot, and I guess like Historia's dad was trying to like give her that, but it was not going to happen for obvious reasons. And then of course Ymir and Historia's little like situation too. Oh man, yeah, Aaron, you dog, you basically took someone else's girl because technically speaking, Ymir was in love with Historia, and it was just obvious because it's just like the way that Ymir will always like care for Historia. I think that's also the same name as the other woman too, who's also named Ymir. I think is the original Titan, the founding Titan, of course. But otherwise, just yeah, man. Let me see. I'm looking at the pregnant part. Yeah, she does. Yeah, I remember. She does get pregnant to I believe Eren? Cause like I don't know how that whole thing happened, but it happened. So I believe they also had like a moment too with like I think Eren and Historia had a little bit of moment together, so that could explain it. But otherwise, yeah, I mean that would make kind of a bit of a sense because like Mikasa ended up with the other dude that was like he was cool or whatnot, but it was quote unquote irrelevant. But like he was I guess he was always in love with Mikasa, but I don't know. That situation was going on. And then, of course, Eren doing his thing with, like, time loops and time shenanigans going on by using the other Ymir, I believe, to, like, then acquire the Founding Titan. And then it ends with, like, well, Season 4 ends with, like, I believe Eren Yeager just terrorizing, what you call it? Terrorizing the Marylands. Just, like, straight up, like, going against humanity for all types of fuckery. Whereas like I believe in the next season, if I remember correctly, he will be facing Armin. And Armin and Mikasa will try to stop Eren from going any further than he already has. Or if the theory is going to be correct, it's most likely going to be Eren who wins. So who knows? There's always a possibility that, it could go either way. But honestly, who knows? I'm excited to see what happens, because like season 4 was a trip to deal with at times, because a very important character unfortunately dies. Sasha, ugh, godly, it's so sad. It's like even so sad too, because Sasha is like the most genuine, amazing character. Like I remember when I first saw her, it was like what season 1, and she was just like eating bread, and she was like, "Aye, aye, sir." while eating bread and just like was like craving for it. It was just like, you know, she was awesome. And she has such a great character development throughout the whole series. And then she dies in season 4 by a bitch named Gabby. Like, still, fuck Gabby for everything, including the fact that she killed Sasha. So I'm not gonna get over that anytime freaking soon. Just as much as I do not like Boruto. Look, I cannot even stand Boruto in a lot of cases because he is the little dog motherfucking shit who is an embarrassment of a son of Naruto. Like, I'm gonna stand by that. But I would rather take Boruto than fuck ass Gabby. And you want to know why? Again, because fuck Gabby. Seriously. She's on the list with, like, you know, mine, Danzo, and ooh, do not get me started with Shu. Do not get me started with Shu, because I will lose it with that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I will do that. Anyways, let me take a break just real quick, because some little munchkin is calling me. Hold on. Anyways, I'm back. As a matter of fact, you know what? Screw this. I'm about to go ahead and go on a stat show real quick and just, like, really just express my rant one more time about Shu. Just real quick, you know? Just real quick. So, real quick. Hey, what's good, everyone? It's your boy Shazman21, and currently right now I am recording a Weeb Talk episode. Hold on. Oops, hold on a second. Alright, now we're back. Here we go. Let's go ahead and record real quick. Alright, guys, so I'm recording a Weeb Talk videos. Say hi to the camera. Hi! So, real quick, I'm about to go on a whole rant about Shu, so buckle up your seatbelts, everyone, because I am about to roast him again and again. So, in case you guys don't remember, it's a guy from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood who then turned a little girl, you know, his little girl, into a dog. And it gets more complicated because, you know, it's like one of his biggest creations, even though he's like one of the worst dads of all time. Because he literally turned his beautiful daughter, who's the most amazing human being ever, to a freaking dog. It is disgusting. And he was like, oh, this was just the greatest thing I have ever done. No, you stupid. Ooh, I hope you are listening to this, you son of a gun, because you are the worst human being ever. I don't care if you're drawn or whatever. You are horrible. You suck. What is wrong with you? You stupid. Anyway, so if you guys are watching this from Snapchat, I hope you guys enjoyed it a little bit. Let me turn this down a little bit. So, shout out to everyone on Snapchat. If you guys are now watching this on my Weeb Talk episode 19, I hope you guys enjoyed my little like rant about stupid ass Shu as per usual. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. So shout out to those guys. So real quick, let me give it a little pause real quick. Alright, now we're back on topic. That was a little fun filler episode where I just kind of just ranted about like Shu again. So if you guys enjoyed that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys actually want to see me make like a funny skit or a rant video on that, then let me know in the comments down below. But otherwise, yeah, Attack on Titan, man, it's crazy. And Gabby is, you know, a little shit that should have been, you know, boarded a long time ago by her stupid freaking parents or who the heck ever. I don't really care because I fucking hate Gabby for what she has done. And I hope she suffers. That's all I gotta say. Because, again, she killed Sasha. You stupid bitch. But otherwise, you know, Attack on Titan, man, it is confusing. Eren Yeager is all types of interesting ways. He is, you know, the main protagonist, the main antagonist. He's also the writer. He's also the producer. He's also literally everything. He's basically Doctor Strange, Thanos, Captain America, Green Goblin. He's everything. He's literally everything. So it's like, it's kind of cool. But otherwise, I'm pretty excited to see how it's all going to end for, I guess, essentially season 5. I don't know. It's probably season 4, part 3 or part 4. I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is just that they end off the series in a way that's, you know, going to be satisfying. Or at least somewhat satisfying. Maybe have Eren win. Maybe have him get defeated. Or you can just have, like, literally someone else just, like, pop in out of nowhere and just, like, stop the whole fight and say, let's make love and positivity to all. Like that. Like, you can just end it with, like, someone just, like, completely stopping the whole fight and just, like, you know, have, you know, Eren, like, you know, sees the error of his ways and just stop doing what he was doing and stuff. And then the Merlins can like the people that's like the true criminals of it is like the corrupt ones, you know, are the real villains around there, and they get exposed for everything they have done, and then like pieces finally you know saving in the Attack of Titan. You never know. It's just like hopefully it has a satisfying ending. We will just have to see. Now here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started on Star Wars timeline. So the Star Wars timeline, that one's gonna be not as convoluted, but it is. It does get confusing at times too, because there is the extended universe that used to be canon a very long time ago. Because there's like such things as there's I believe a lot of stuff that goes on with like Han Solo and I believe Luke Skywalker, especially after the episode 6, 7, 8, you know, with his adventures, like right after he defeats Emperor Palpatine and all this stuff, and meets with a woman, and then like all types of interesting shenanigans with that, and then has his own like descendant from wherever, and all types of fun stuff. So it's pretty cool to then like before the Phantom Menace with like I believe Dark Sidious, who was a Darth or sorry a Sith that was playing in with the dad, I guess, or whatnot, who taught I believe Palpatine, who was like at the time like an apprentice. So there was that going on. And of course, you want to count like the Old Republic from like a very long time ago, and Star Wars series. With I believe it's not Kylo Ren. It was a different. It was Raven. Raven. Yes, he's personally like one of my most favorite characters because it's just like he goes through a lot of change in the series. Like he goes from a Jedi then to a Sith and to both. He's just like such an amazing character. And then of course you got like the Mandalorians who are my personal favorites. Of course Django, Boba, and the Mandalorian dude from the Mandalorian series are really freaking awesome, and a few from the Star Wars Clone Wars series, and all types of stuff. So, how the timeline usually goes, like just from the canon story, it goes from the Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, which is Episode 1, and I believe Episode 2. I remember, I think it was like the Clone Saga. I believe it was just like that Clone Wars thing going on. I believe. And then Episode 3 ends in like Revenge of the Sith, I believe. Or not Revenge of the Sith. Fuck. What was it? Was it Revenge of the Sith? Let me. No, because like it's Episode 6. Star Wars 3. No. Oh, it was. It was. I was right. But I was wrong on the Episode 2. So Episode 2 is actually Attack of the Clones. That would actually make more sense. But I was right on the Episode 3. So it was Revenge of the Sith, which is my personal favorite because it ends in such a beautiful way. Because Anakin turns into Darth Vader, all types of stuff. Although yeah, that's kind of what happened. But just the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, dude. Oh my god. As a kid, like when it was like released, dude, I loved the fight, dude. Like I already grew up watching like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader fighting, in like the old series and whatnot. But man, to just see like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin just go at it, dude, and just like go at it for like almost 30 minutes to an hour, bro, it was amazing. So like, of course, let's get back on track. So the Star Wars timeline goes like this. So it goes from the Episode 1, which is The Phantom Menace. Episode 2, which is Attack of the Clones. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. 4, which is the original series, which is A New Hope. 5, what was the... Hold on a second, guys. Star Wars V. That was The Emperor Strikes Back, and what was VI? Return of Jedi. So, the V part was The Emperor Strikes Back and The Return of Jedi. Of course, those are the, classics. From A New Hope, The Emperor Strikes Back, and Return of Jedi, and then of course you have 7, which is just The Force Awakens. 8 is The Last Jedi, and I believe the 9 is The Rise of the Skywalker. Now, 7, 8, 9, I still have not watched because of a lot of reasons. But it is, technically canon to the story because it follows, Rey and her journey with her friends and Kylo Ren and all this other stuff. So I might have to watch the movie for that, but I'll just definitely just like briefly mention that because, as a timeline. But otherwise, the only thing I'm going to kind of talk about is just, the prequel and the original movie, and that's it. I've not yet watched the new movies yet. I will watch it at some point, but just not right now. Otherwise, I'll definitely say, starting with what happened with Qui Gon, that Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff like that. Jar Jar Binks, especially if you guys remember that old meme about him being like the actual villain of the whole prequel series, which it can be true, can be not be true. I don't know. It's like the way that like Jar Jar's ending it like happens to him is just it is a bit convoluted, but he does become like some circus clown somehow, so it's kind of interesting. But just how the first episode goes, I believe, we get introduced to like Qui Gon Jinn, which is Liam Neeson himself, which is awesome to see. And Qui Gon was like kind of like an interesting Jedi because he wasn't like necessarily the good Jedi, and not necessarily like dabbling into the dark force like the Sith necessarily. Oh, he was interested in learning the truth, but he wasn't like so like possessive about like this dark energy force that just like assumes him. He like understands it but does it in a different way. Kind of like Mace Windu, where it's just like, Mace Windu does dabble in the dark a little bit, especially with his purple lightsaber, which is also like fun fact. That's like the lightsaber that Samuel L. Jackson actually wanted instead of like a green or a blue. He said, "Man, give me a purple one," because I'm a pimp. So I was like, why not? Are you gonna say like no to Samuel L. Jackson wanting a purple lightsaber? Come on now. But yeah, the purple lightsaber is freaking cool. Like though, I remember this is just a fun fact, another fun fact from my childhood. So I was playing Lego Star Wars, like the original one, and like I remember I was like creating this like really interesting character, and he had like I believe it was a purple lightsaber similar to Mace Windu, and I don't know, I just like that one more than like the regular like lightsabers and stuff. So it's just cool. Hopefully, I might get that when I'm playing the other game, the Star Wars, the Fallen Order, or was it the Fallen Order? Like the one with Jack, or I forgot what the kid's name was. I didn't get back to playing that game because I remember there's a lot going on with that, and then on top of that, they're actually doing they're continuing with the series with him, so that's gonna be awesome. So I need to get back, dude. I need to get back to a lot of things, man. Holy snaps! I hate when this happens, bro. But oh well, it is what it is. Anyways, we're kind of going back on track. So where was it? We were talking about Liam Neeson. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, okay. So Qui Gon was just like this interesting like Jedi because he was like technically speaking a great Jedi, which is like they don't believe in the Jedi Order nor the Sith. They on their own whatnot. Like he was technically something like that. Obi-Wan Kenobi was at the time a Padawan to him, so it was like an interesting like dynamic that they had. And then I believe it ends. Well, okay, no, there's some things that was going on. They meet Anakin, then they meet Padme, who is I believe Queen Amidala. The actual queen. Padme is of course eventually going to be Anakin's love interest later on in the series. But otherwise, at the time, they were just like relatively good friends, or they just like kind of know each other. Then they kind of became friends or whatnot. Especially since like Anakin was just 9 years old, so it would be kind of weird for them to be developing feelings like that. But I'm sure like Anakin had some crush on her, but it wasn't like it. It was like kid crush really. But otherwise, there was that going on. There's also those other characters too with like the guns or whatnot, but I don't know. They have not been mentioned about anything on the series, so we're just gonna just kind of ignore that. But otherwise, just like some key details would be just like, the interaction between Darth Plagueis, who was like, at the time just being this like emperor, where it's just like he seems like a nice guy, but he has something else going on. Evil deeds, of course, which will be like revealed a lot later in the series. But otherwise, Darth Plagueis was doing his little evil deeds, talking with like I think Maul. Darth Maul. Oh, dude, Darth Maul is so freaking awesome, dude. He's like one of the best villains and also the best character too, and also Obi-Wan's best rival like ever, really, because like there has never been any other character that has like really tested Obi-Wan Kenobi other than Darth Maul, and that's really saying a lot because like Anakin did, eventually Darth Vader did, but I'm saying like the one that really like tested Obi-Wan Kenobi the most, especially in his prime years, was Darth freaking Maul, and Darth Maul is so awesome, like he's like really the best character. But on top of that, like at the time, he was a full-on villain. He just didn't care, and I believe he was like very antagonistic towards Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And I think it ends where it's just like Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan ends up quote unquote killing him until you actually read into the series. In between, like, well, kind of like technically speaking, in between like 2 and 3, where we get to the Clone Wars series, where it's revealed that he's not dead, and all sort of stuff. So in the movie, he is quote unquote dead. Like he got cut off in half, which was cool to see. Where like Obi-Wan hops up, like whoo, grabs a lightsaber and goes whoo. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how I can like recreate that. You know what? I'll just. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can get a lightsaber just real quick, just to kind of give a funny demonstration. Okay, so I got a lightsaber here, so hope you guys can see me right here. But it's like, so he's like basically just like hanging off or whatnot. Boy then jumps up. Actually, hold on, let me see. So he was hanging, and then boy jumps up, grabs the whole lightsaber, turns that sumbit, sideways, and then slices Darth Maul like right here, like in his abdomen, and then Darth Maul goes like anyways, yeah, I don't know why this keeps getting jumped. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, let me try that again one time. So he goes like boom, pops it up, and boom. Oh. You get the gist. If you've already seen the movie, then you already know what I'm talking about. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed my little demonstration on how it like went down. But it was still a great fight though. Like the whole sequence from like beginning all the way up to the end was great. Especially when like Darth Maul like popped up with the dual lightsabers, and it was just like a staff, but it was just like. It was just like 2 ends. Oh, it was the most amazing moment ever. Like as a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so freaking cool." He not only has 1, but he has 2. Oh, it was so sick, bro. Like that's when I became such a huge fan of Darth Maul, because it was just like he's like the master of like dual wielding blades, but when you like combine them together and it becomes like a whole staff, dude, it's so freaking awesome. I think there was also this other like female character from like the Old Republic, I forgot her name, that does that as well, but she's like a Jedi. I was like, yo, this is so sick. Why don't we have like lightsabers that have like something that's a little like different other than it looks like a katana sword? But I digress. It was so freaking cool to see. And then of course it ends with Darth Maul get defeated, and then I believe it ends with of course Qui-Gon's funeral, and I believe Obi-Wan having to take care of Anakin to teach him the ways of the Force or whatnot. So then that's where we begin like episode 2, where it's just like he's like a teenager now. He's going through a lot of change. Trying to like go through life, and still has like a lot of growing up to do. Whereas Obi-Wan Kenobi is slowly becoming, the Kenobi that we know and love. like Obi-Wan Kenobi is like one of my most favorite Jedi's of all time because he's just so freaking cool, especially when his little like rival with General Kenobi. Oh, I love that when he goes like, "Hello there, General Kenobi," dude. Best moment in episode 3. Well, anyways, before we get to episode 3, I believe what was it? I think it starts off with Anakin being a little teenage hoodie, just like basically being a teenager, and I think it ends where it's just like I believe they track down Jango Fett, I believe, because I think they were trying to ambush Obi-Wan and Anakin at a bar. I think, if I remember correctly. Damn, I really need to watch the prequels again and the original series one last time because I know like each and every moment, like even by heart. But sometimes there's just like some things that's just missing. So I might have to rewatch a lot of that. But otherwise, yeah, definitely. It was definitely a bar scene. It gets kind of set up for whatever. I think Obi one gets chased. Oh wait, there's some like moments here too. This is where like the clones were like getting like made. So I believe there was this weird alien thing that was saying like how like the clones were like made because of like Jango Fett's reputation of being like the Mandalorian guy of the era, of course. And on top of that, just I think they created like the other clone that was a kid that just so happens to be, of course, the young Boba Fett at the time, so it was cool to see. What was it? He tries to track Boba Fett down, or sorry, Jango Fett down at the time. Jango Fett, and it ends where it's just like it ends in a style match where it's just like Jango still escapes, and Obi-Wan, being Obi-Wan, just like being like the greatest defensor of all time, just like deflects a few things, gets hit a few times, and that was it. And then I think it ends in the most epic way possible. So like, I think they, if I remember correctly, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme were kidnapped, put to like execution because Count Dooku and all them wanted them to be executed or whatnot by some monster or whatnot. I think they ended up breaking free and fighting back, and then like the collaboration, I don't know how you say it, where it's just like more allies started coming in. Like I know the word, it's just that it's been a long time since it's that not calamity or the collaborate, something like that, something dark side, something complete. There you go. Anyways, they show up, Yoda being Yoda, of course, being the best, pops up, and then the clones surround everybody, especially the Jedi, to try to stop these like Sith and I think the machines guy, I forgot what they're called, but those machine things where they like shoot you with lasers, and there's like the bigger version too with like the cannon and whatnot. They're taking them on, and then I believe what was it? Mace Windu was taking on Django, and then of course we all know what happens. Boy cuts off the dude's arm like this, and then does like a whole spin around like this, and then cuts off the dude's head like it was nothing. I was like, oh my god, what dude? Chill, dude. But he did it with such like finesse too. Like after he just did this, he was like, ugh, he was no match for me. It was like, dang, bro. And then it also ends well too, where I believe like Obi-Wan tries to fight Count Dooku. Count Dooku does his like thing, I believe. He fights against Anakin for a bit, and it goes into like this really cool sequence where Anakin like using like two willed, which is kind of crazy to think about, because it's like, wow, you would never think he would do that, but he did. He was going crazy with that. But of course, him having some like bit of dark side was like later on, especially when he actually ends up like killing a lot of people. Like those guys that like ended up killing his mom too. Yeah, he was like not having that shit, so he killed everybody, and you know we just like let it be because it was like Anakin's fine. It's just whatever. That's all it was not in episode 3, but otherwise it was pretty good. Then what ends up happening? I think okay. Anakin, oh yeah, Anakin gets his like hand chopped off, so he gets like injury, and then afterwards, it ends in a steel match with like Yoda versus Count Dooku because I think Count like you know escapes somehow, and then I think it just ends just like that, or no, it ends with like I believe Anakin and Padme getting together in secret, and I believe Anakin getting like the stag arm, the robot arm eventually after getting his like I think his left hand chopped. No, right hand. My bad. Right hand chopped off by Count Dooku, of course, and yeah, they get married. Now their relationship is pretty good, but that sand part, I don't like the sand part. No, horrible writing. Horrible writing. It was cringy. But the love between Padme and Anakin definitely wasn't, because it's very cute. Even they should have kissed too, which was kind of cute to see. Otherwise, that's it. Episode 2 was pretty good at times. Sometimes a little cringy, but it is. But episode 3, oh boy! If you was in the 2000s, especially 2005, when it was released, when they released episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Bro, it was the most amazing movie of all time. Literally, it was like from beginning all the way to the end. Like, of course, it starts with like Anakin Skywalker finally, having a bit more established because of the Clone Wars that was going on, especially with like Ahsoka, especially in the Clone Wars series. That I like. It's just like I don't want to get too much into that yet, but it's just like it is a part of the in between episode 2 and episode 3. That will get into another time. But it starts off with him being established and having some issues with the Jedi sometimes, and then he goes to like Darth Plagueis or Darth Palpatine, whatever, Emperor Palpatine, whatever, same guy, to ask for like guidance about the dark side, to like help with Anakin's like worries, because like I think if I remember correctly, he had like a vision that Padme would die of birth or whatnot, and he was scared that he didn't want to lose her for obvious reasons. He loves her, so he would do anything. Well, at the moment, but it got to the point where it's just like he started like doing some not so great things, especially when like I believe when Anakin discovered Emperor Palpatine was really Darth Plagueis, and he's like Sith or whatnot. And he did try to warn, the Jedis about him. And then, like, the Jedis try to, like, stop, Palpatine, like, the 3. But then, I believe it ends a way where it's, like, Anakin stops, Mace from, like, trying to, like, attempt to, like, kill him. Because, they're trying to, like, of course he wants him alive to, like, try to prove that he's guilty. Then, all of a sudden, Anakin turns to the dark side by cutting off Mace Windu's hand, and then I think Darth Plagueis just goes like full Super Saiyan on him, goes like yeah with the lightning, and pretty much sends him flying away to his death. Oh no, it's not confirmed whether or not Mace Windu is dead or alive. So it's just like the fate of Mace Windu will pretty much reign in mystery for a very long time until like they do something about it. Otherwise, it was great to see that. Like, it was interesting. And then I believe Darth Plagueis turns Anakin into Darth Vader. So like pre-Darth Vader, before he becomes the Darth Vader that we know of. He ends up killing kids, so that's freaking fun. Especially when like in that one scene where it's just like Oh, Miss Anakin, what can we do about the situation? And then Boy was like,
Do you kids know about abortion?
yeah, thought so. Fuck you, kids. So yeah, just basically just killed a lot of kids. Oh Jesus! Oh my god! Too much Star Wars things going on. Oh man, how are we doing with time? How are we doing with time here? Oh my god! Ooh, should we do like a separate part maybe? Oh, and you know what? Maybe I don't know. Let's just keep it going. Let's just keep it going. Because if it does like reach an hour, then that's fine. We could just like here's what we can do. So this will be part 1 of episode 19, where I talk about Attack on Titans and Star Wars, and then for the next part that I'm going to be into here in the next minute will be The Legend of Zelda, Timeline, and Kingdom Hearts, and that will be part 2, and that will be releasing around maybe tomorrow, maybe we'll see, like both of them tomorrow, but otherwise, yeah, we'll just go with that. So. I know I hate doing that sometimes, but I'm trying to not make it like too long and convoluted where it's just like I go to like exceed an hour and 30 minutes and then somehow the fucking thing just like crashes down for stupid reasons. So, I'm trying to avoid that. So how I'm gonna end this would be like this. So I'm gonna briefly talk about the whole original series, how it goes from A New Hope and then a little bit towards, what was it, 5, talk about that for a bit, and then how it ends, with 6. So just like talk about a little bit of that here and there. But yeah, anyways, let's just keep it going. So after Anakin kills all the kids and whatnot, I believe this is where like the showdown begins with like Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin, where it's like the best scene of all time. But before we get into that, it's just like he gets into argument with Padme about a lot of stuff. He was like telling her, "Come be with me. We can like figure this out." And of course, Padme, being a smart woman, recognizes like I cannot do this. You have killed a lot of people. You need to be turned in or whatever. So then he's like, I believe. Oh my god, Mom, why would you do that? Anyways, shout out to my mom. I think if I remember correctly, he gets a little jealous because like he starts like see like Obi-Wan pops up to protect Padme from what was about to happen a little bit, and then like I guess Anakin in his state of mind was like, "You're with him? This is impossible. I thought you were supposed to be with me," even though that's not even the case. But whatever. His mind was just thinking otherwise, and he then ends up giving her a Darth choke, and she passes out for reasons.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here.
Hey. Again, shout out to my mom. Love her. She's amazing. Beautiful singing, by the way. That was awesome. But anyways, what was it? Oh yeah. So after like Padme, passes out, then we get to the most important part: the fight between Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is one of the best Star Wars fight of all time. Do not freaking at me. It is literally one of the best from start to freaking finish. All right. Now, I'm not going to get into too much onto that because I think if you guys have already seen episode 3, you would probably know. So, all I'm saying is go watch episode 3 from start to finish, especially in that fight because it's so freaking good. I don't know what to say other than it's good. All right. It's just masterpiecefully amazing. Like, it's just so good. Like, just go watch it. I'm going to even watch it at some point. Like just the whole fight itself is just Shout out to the actors that did that. Like, I'm trying to remember names as best as possible. I'll probably just say here real quick, but those guys, major shout out to them for like making that like a particular scene just the most amazing moment of all time. But otherwise, just this like whole fight that was going on. And then here's the crazy thing: on top of that, Palpatine, becoming like Darth Plagueis or whatnot, he ends up fighting against Yoga, and that one is just as good. But again, my personal favorite is Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. Otherwise, they're all great. Now, what ends in a stalemate with I believe it was Yoda and Palpatine, because it ends like that because reasons. Definitely because it wasn't because Darth Plagueis was a lot stronger. No, no, no. Yoda held back quite a lot there. I mean, yes, he was like putting in a lot of work, but he definitely held back a little bit more on trying to kill the guy, whatever. Because if he really wanted to, he could have like really just like ended Darth Plagueis right then and there. Like it would not be a competition because again, Yoda is busted as all can get out. It's just in that moment, he just it was a stalemate. It just was a stalemate. That was it. And the fight with Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, if I remember, ends where I believe really similar to like how Darth Maul was defeated. Anakin gets all cocky, says like, "You underestimate my power. I will, get you or not." And then Obi-Wan was like, "Don't try it." Then just straight up cuts Anakin in half, and also his arm and leg again, which is just insane. Because it's like, dang, you hate to see that. Man, Anakin be having a lot of injuries, man. A lot more than Luke. Because the only injuries that Luke Skywalker suffered was just getting his hand cut off. But Anakin, bro, wow. He be getting done dirty sometimes. But yeah, afterwards, Anakin Skywalker unfortunately gets defeated by, fortunate, if you want to say, I don't know. Fortunate, unfortunate, gets defeated by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, Obi-Wan says, "You were the chosen one, you were my brother," all this other stuff. And then leaves him to die, essentially. Because afterwards, Anakin was like, "I hate you," and all this other stuff. I was like, you love him. You love him. You hate doing that because you love him. And then afterwards, Padme gives birth to Luke and Leia and dies of sadness. Of all things. But I guess it can be a real life scenario because somebody can die from sadness, apparently. So, yeah, I guess so. And then that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and briefly talk about episode 4, 5, and 6, how it all went down. So, of course, you guys, if you have already watched the original series, you probably already know like a million times, Luke Skywalker gets like, gets a call to a journey. His parents get killed, all this other stuff. Meets with Han Solo and Chewbacca at some point. Or actually, while that was happening, he gets met with an old man that's now called, Ben Kenobi, who is now revealed, who was, formerly known as Obi-Wan Kenobi and all this other stuff. He teaches him the ways of the Force and, Jedi tricks and all this other really fun stuff. Then I believe he meets Princess Leia at some point, and I think it ends, with A New Hope, where it's just like the Death Star gets destroyed, or was it 5? I don't know. It was either or. Then Luke has his like self-development journey of like discovery himself. Or no, wait. I'm capping. After like Luke gets trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi on the same movie, Darth Vader is revealed. Not yet to be Luke's father yet, but just like he poses a threat to the main cast, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, the main court, R2-D2 and CP3PO, all that good stuff. I believe it ends where okay, I remember. A New Hope ends actually where Luke Skywalker witnessed Obi-Wan Kenobi die, which is in a really weird way. He basically, I don't know, like, Obi-Wan just basically gives up and just, like, lets Darth Vader defeat him. I don't know, that's always, like, been very confusing to me, but, hey, it happened. So he does this and then just dies. That's it. Or something happens to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, I don't know. There's, like, too many conflicting reasons, but otherwise, after that, then we go to episode 5 where it gets even more interesting. He gets caught with Yetis, all this other great stuff. Then I think he gets trained by Yoda for a bit, which was awesome. And then I believe Yoda tries to warn him to not go because his friends or whatnot are trying to sacrifice themselves to protect him for a lot of reasons. Especially that iconic scene where I believe Han Solo gets frozen and stuff. And then the funny story about that one is like that's also taking place in the same time period as Indiana Jones, so 1950. I don't know. It's convoluted at best, but it ends in a way where I believe what was it? Luke gets his hands chopped off by Darth Vader because they end up having like a really nice little like fight that they had. It was like very it's not like as flashy as like episode 3, but it definitely was a little bit more methodic where it's just like cling defense strike. It was, I mean, it's a little boring a little bit, but it's still like articulating like a lot of stuff, and it's really really good. I would tell Luke gets his like what was it, his right hand chopped off similar to his father. Anakin, who then reveals himself to be Darth Vader, where he says like, "No, Luke, I'm your father." And then Luke was like, "No!" Like the biggest cinematic what the fuck moment and plot twist in history, which is, hey, you know what? From its time, in the 1970s and 80s, was literally the biggest plot twist of all time. So, hey, let's give it credit to what is due. It definitely was the biggest plot twist ever. Now, it's already memed to death because, there's like so many things going on with that, but otherwise, hold on. This kid's it's gonna have to wait. Otherwise, yeah. That happens, and I think afterwards, The Empire Strikes Back happens, or what was it? Star Wars. No. V. Yeah, it ends in a way that, if I remember correctly, Luke gets defeated, but then for a bit, he comes back and defeats or destroys the the Death Star, I believe, and then it ends in like 6, where it's just like ends in a climactic battle. So I'm just gonna go into climactic battle. I know I'm skipping the beginning part, but I'll briefly just say the beginning part. Luke goes on this interesting Jedi journey of his own, where it's just like he's neither this or that, but it's just like he goes on this interesting dark journey of his own, meets Jabba the Hutt, realizes that him and Leia are actually twin sisters, whatever, blah blah blah, and then I think they had a fight with Boba Fett, where he supposedly dies, but he doesn't really, and then all types of interesting stuff happens. And then it ends in if I remember correctly, Luke fights against Darth Vader, was somehow was able to defeat him with his own anger, and then he does something a completely different than his father did. He instead does not join the dark side. He doesn't kill his dad or whatnot. He just basically just just says, I refuse to kill my father, because that's his dad. Why would he ever do that? So when he looked at Darth Vader's hand, he then looks at his right hand and realizes he's almost becoming just like him. And then Darth Plagueis doing his little thing come on, join me. And then he's like, I'll never join you and stuff. And then Plagueis does his little chat, that zappy thing he does, and I think he does get defeated until, of course, what happens in the new series that I'm not gonna get into because I have not watched the new movies yet. But ends a way where Darth Plagueis dies. I'm just gonna put it right there. Then Anakin, no, I believe Luke takes off Darth Vader's helmet and reveals it to be Anakin's face or whatnot. disfigured from what had happened in episode 3, and he dies. But before that happens, they cremated him, and then it ends where I believe Luke sees the ghosts of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and then Anakin. Now the funny part about that is like in the original series, it's just like in the original like movie, it was just like the actor who played as like Anakin is there, like, or not Anakin. No, okay, as Darth Vader, is there, the big guy himself. Rest in peace to him. Um, then in like the new series, like when it was like remastered, I believe Hayden, or I think that was his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they recast the Anakin from the Phantom, sorry, not the Phantom Menace, from the prequel series as like the ghost, and that one was really cool to see, and that's where it all ends up until we get to the end, to the new series with Rey and Kylo, and I think that's it. How are we doing with time here? Okay, we're doing okay, a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and try to end this real quick. So right now, this is gonna be part 1 of the Weeb Talk episode 19 of the timeline series, and now we're gonna get into part 2, which will be talking about Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. So stay tuned for that here in a second. I will be back with you guys pretty soon to discuss about the Legend of Zelda timeline and the Kingdom Hearts timeline, and that's gonna be it for part 1 and part 2. So, or sorry, part 2 of episode 19. So here we go. So for this one, it's gonna be Weeb Talk episode 19, part 1, Attack on Titan in Star Wars. So this is gonna be it. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be also coming out at the same time as I'm gonna be recording that. So anyways, I'll come back here next few minutes, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Boo. Alrighty, everyone. Now this one is part 2 of the Weeb Talk episode 19, part 2. This time around, we're going to be discussing the timeline of Legends of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. So this is part 2 of, again, Legend of Zelda timeline and Kingdom Hearts. And part 1 I just did already. So right now, how it's going to be is like this. So I'm going to edit this. It's going to be like this. So you're going to have like a title where it's going to be, of course, introduction. But this time, it's going to be like part 1 of episode 19, which is going to be talking about Attack on Titan and Star Wars timeline, the part 1. And now we're here in the part 2 where we're going to be discussing the Legend of Zelda timeline and Kingdom Hearts timeline. And the Kingdom Hearts timeline, I might briefly go over a little bit more because, like, even though I know a lot about that, it's still like, I might have to refresh my memories on a few things just in case I kind of forget on certain things. But I definitely know quite a lot about the Legend of Zelda timeline, like completely, from just a lot of stuff. Of course, just from watching such people like, Bandit Crisis or Bandit, or Nintendo Black Crisis, and of course Game Theory on his take on the timeline, all types of stuff. Like, just like with Attack on Titan and also Kingdom Hearts, Legend of Zelda timeline is very, very convoluted at times. So, it does get a little confusing, all because of Ocarina of Time, of course, which is one of the best games of all time. I've even played the DS version. I didn't go any further, unfortunately, but I did play it, and it was freaking amazing. I love it. But otherwise, Legend of Zelda, man, it is like one of the best series in Nintendo's history. Besides, of course, the mascot himself that's been carrying the company and carrying video game as a whole since, video game's inception, which is the Super Mario Bro himself, Mario, Jumpman Mario, or just Mario, really. Besides that, just Link himself has been through a lot of, like, iterations, especially from, like, the original series, which we'll be talking about in, like, the timeline, where we talk about, like, Skyward Sword, I believe, pretty soon. It starts off, like, in the game's exception, it starts off, like, with The Legend of Zelda, then The Legend of Zelda 2, Adventures of Link, and I believe the Oracle Seasons, or no, the Link to the Past and the Oracle Seasons, and then Link's Awakening, all types of interesting stuff. And then when they get to like the 3D aspects, we get the Ocarina of Time, then Majora's Mask, and then afterwards you get, I believe, Wind Waker, then Twilight Princess, and then so on and so forth until you get Skyloft Sword, which is like the first canon story, and then afterwards you then get to like the ending of it, which is like continuing, which is what over now. We're at the Breath of the Wild, and I believe we also have, what was it? Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Yep, Tears of the Kingdom, which is the sequel to the Breath of the Wild 2, or formerly known as Breath of the Wild 2. So, and of course you got the Netflix series that may happen ish. I don't really know. I hope it does. I really hope it does, but you never really know. But I don't know. I hope that they do at some point. Kind of like what they did with The Witcher, but just like, make it interesting. Make it interesting. Otherwise, I digress. So that's just from the game aspect of it. But how the timeline works is gonna be completely different, because here's how things go. We start off with Skyward Sword, where we meet, Link, like the first Link canonically in the whole entire series. Technically, if you want to count the manga, which is like some hero that wasn't probably not named Link, but just like some guy that pretty much looked like Link, whatever, hero, spirit, whatever. So, Link wakes up as per usual from whatever nap, and this time around, the Zelda in that particular game is actually related to the goddess Hylia, who existed like I think 1,000 years before, the whole Skyward Sword event started happening. So she's pretty much like the reincarnation, which is like kind of revealed in the story a little bit further down. I think there was also Girahim and Demise, that was like the main baddies of the whole series, or the whole like game, I believe. And if I remember correctly, the whole point was just to try to like exert like the goddess energy to like revive Demise to where he was previously, the demon king of all demons or whatnot. Sounding familiar like Ganondorf, because they're both the same, because Ganondorf is essentially just the descendant of Demise, whatever. But if I remember correctly, that was also that going on, and there was a lot of just shenanigans going on as per usual. Link, taking up the mantle of the hero to like, save everyone and save the woman that he loves and cares about the most, which is of course Zelda. And then like for my Zeldlings out there, they do get together. They do get together. Then it starts to get more interesting, because like in the end, if I remember correctly, Link does defeat Demise, seals him away with the Master Sword, which was previously got a goddess sword to like, it was like pretty much like a gift to like the hero himself at some point in the journey to like, slay some demon, whoever, who just so happens to be Demise or whatnot. And I believe what was going on too is that I think before he met Demise, he met like avocado version of him, where like he terrorized his like nightmares. So it was just like, I guess it was always destined that at some point, Link was going to like face this guy, and he did. And here's the crazy thing: he was 18 and a half years old, turning 19. So basically, he's like the oldest, Link in the series, canonically speaking, because most other Links afterwards are like 12 and sometimes 16. And like the only character that's like kind of close to Link's age in the Skyward Sword is, technically speaking, the Link from the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But he's really 17 years old. I don't know. Avatar logic. Avatar the Last Airbender logic. But otherwise, yeah, it ends with Demise getting defeated by Link, gets killed with the Master Sword. Then I believe um, the Sky land, I believe that was called or whatever, gets dropped down to Earth, and then I believe what ends up happening is Link and Zelda of the Skyward Sword era ended up getting together and having lots of babies. So basically, repopulating the whole Hylian race, and then afterwards, I believe Hyrule Castle was formed right after the events of what just took place in Skyward Sword, and the I think the Skylost were mentioned, but then they were not mentioned again for whatever reason. Then eventually go to Minish Cap with all this other stuff. I'm not gonna get into that too much because like it is what it is. It's still part of it, but like I don't quite remember the Minish Cap all that much because I never played it ever. But it kind of is important to the story. Then you got the Hero Man, all this other great stuff. Then afterwards, Ocarina of Time, where we know, our boy, the hero of time himself, like one of the OGs of the OG links, you know what I'm saying? Like that really started the whole like shift in like 3D and whatnot, which was like cool to see. Um I believe what happened is in that particular sense, it goes like this. So in the beginning, his mom gets killed, then he gets raised by the Deku Tree with, the whole, you know, Kakiris, I believe they were called. There was Saria that cared about him as like, the childhood friend type, which was kind of cool to see. Then there was a bully, yada yada. The Great Deku Tree talking about this, and that. And then, if I remember correctly, he dies, gives him like, Link's final blessing to like go out there to the world. Saria gets a little sad that he's gonna be gone, but it was gonna happen anyways. Then all types of stuff started to happen. I think eventually Ganondorf and Link somehow meet, which was kind of crazy. Thing about actually not yet, not yet. Wait, I'll cap it a little bit. Um, Link meets Zelda, albeit in a kind of interesting way, but like he doesn't quite get caught, but whatever. He does eventually get caught by Impa, but Impa being a good person or not being a good character, just let's aside for a bit. Um, I believe Zelda and Link have this like conversation about Ganondorf, who is the main baddie of the whole thing, who is now like the Gerudo King that was like sworn his allegiance to Zelda's father, who's the King of Hyrule, I believe. Then some shenanigans started to happen, where it's like revealed that Ganondorf is trying to like steal something away from Zelda, but like Ganondorf was like too busy trying to like find where the Ocarina of Time was, but you know he looks at Link and was like, if you don't get out of my way, you pipsqueak. Just tosses him aside essentially, like with his magic and stuff, saying like you don't know the power that I truly have that will like terrify you, stuff like that. Basically, just being a imposing villain, which he already has been. Like he's even more imposing than Bowser himself, and that's really saying a lot because Bowser he is main baddie ish, but sympathetic in other ways. But Ganondorf, oh no, he's a straight up villain. He does not care. He's like he even makes Bowser his bitch sometimes, which is not the easiest thing to do, but he makes it look effortless. Heck, if it was like Ganondorf and like Mario, yeah, sorry Mario, you will get clapped a lot more times than you will ever win against Ganondorf. Like I don't know, as much as like Mario is strong in his own rights, just don't think that would be enough to beat Ganondorf because Ganondorf is on a whole different level, man. Literally on a whole different level. But otherwise, besides that, Ganondorf does his thing, whatever. Um, I believe Link gets the Ocarina of Time, goes to like a lot of like places to like find, I think some like not medallions, but just like these three elements of stuff like water, fire, and I believe what was it? Earth, blue, earth, water, and wind. I think, or fire, water, earth, wind, earth, water, and fire. I don't know, something like that. Emblems like enter like the what was it, like the Temple of Time? Yeah, the Temple of Time, to then discover a Master Sword that's like been placed there for quite a long time. I think from possibly from the Link from Skyward Sword. I think at some point he just like kind of just seals away a lot of things. Of course, like that still contain demise or whatnot. So then, centuries or millennia later, Link touches the exact same sword, pulls it out from the pedestal, and then I believe what ends up happening is, um, I'm trying to remember. What ends up happening is Ganondorf sees control of the Temple of Time. That's what's called Temple of Time, and just like completely messes things up for everybody for 7 years. And Link stays in psychosis for 7 years until he awakens in a teenager's body. Essentially, he was adult Link, but really he's teen Link. He's 16 years old, so he's not really an adult. He's a teenager. Otherwise, whatever. Teen. So child, adult, timeline, whatever. We'll just go with just as like time conundrum. He's an adult, even though he's technically speaking a teenager. But he gets awakened from his 7 years of slumber. Ro, who's also like the owl that we met before, a long time in like the child timeline, to talk about like some wisdoms about what can happen pretty soon, yada yada yada. I think I also remember go to like dungeons to fight against certain enemies to like free the sages from their whatchamacallit, so they do their thing, or whatnot. I believe that it wasn't until like Sheik, who was like helping Link out, reveals herself to be Zelda, and then I believe when they went to Ganon's like castle, Princess Zelda gets captured, and then like the battle commences with Ganondorf and Link, which turns into like an epic fight of all time where they just like go crazy. And then like there's also like the second fight where Ganondorf turns into Ganon after being defeated in his like human form, and then afterwards it wasn't enough. Link ends up defeating Ganon, and then Ganon gets turns back into Ganondorf, gets sealed away, and then it ends with I believe Link gets sent back to his original timeline ish, to like a child timeline where he was still a kid or whatnot before all the events that happened, by Zelda, who was like sorry of the fact that seven this has pretty much like taken 7 years of his life, so it's like he has to send him right back to a time period before all of this happened. And then afterwards Link comes back as a child. Navi goes away. Her hey, look, listen was annoying to deal with at times, especially for the players that have played that game. Let me know, like the people that have played Ocarina of Time, especially back in the day, how was it like to like deal with Navi as like a character who just like kept on being annoying? Like I felt that way too when I was playing like the Nintendo DS version. I was just like, oh my god, why is she so annoying? Like I could not imagine how you guys would have dealt with her back when Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was a thing in the N64 days. Like, ugh, that must have been rough to deal with. So then that happened, and then I think it ends where like in the adult timeline, everyone's having a good time except a few, because like the sages are actually dead. So that was kind of interesting. So it ends in a pretty helpful way. But like, of course, with the adult timeline, that goes into like the whole situation with Windbreaker, then other games afterwards with that. That might not get into too much because I don't want this to be too long because I do want to talk about like Kingdom Hearts at some point. So I'm briefly gonna say like, um, in the child timeline, Link tells Zelda about what had happened, and then I think that's how it ends. And then I think he leaves to go find Navi, which starts Majora's Mask, which I'll get into in a minute. But I'm just gonna briefly talk about Wind Waker, just the ending part of it, because if you guys have already known about like the Wind Waker series, it's basically just you know is a cartoon edition ish where it's like it starts with this another Link who is not in relation to any other Links, but he's his own. He goes through his like adventures because he wants to find a sister or whatnot. Then it ends with like Ganondorf coming back to conquer Hyrule again. This time as like a desert water island place, and then he gets defeated by Link in an epic way, which was crazy because essentially this Toon Link, shoves a sword in his face. Like again, this version of like Ganondorf is the same Ganondorf that got sealed away in the adult timeline and stuff like that. Confusing a little, right? But that was like 100 years after that, which he doesn't even look that much older. But hey, it is what it is. It's the same Ganondorf, and he gets like the Master Sword or whatever, just like plunged through his skull, turned into a stone forever, and yeah, I think it ends with King Ro or whatever the Hyrule the King of Hyrule himself, swallowing into the abyss of the waves as he says goodbye to Toon Link and Cetra, who's also like revealed to be Princess Zelda herself at times, reverts right back to Cetra, and they continue on with the series. Then with very very briefly, I'm gonna talk about like Majora's Mask, but the only thing I want to talk about is just like, you know, it ends in a way where it's just like Majora gets defeated by Link in a either way where it turns you're either like a fierce deity where it's a lot more quicker, or if you want more challenge, it's just like it's gonna be a little bit more challenging. Blah blah blah. That one is like a little scary, and I unfortunately never played it, so I won't remember much. As a matter of fact, the only games I've really played from that is just Ocarina of Time, a little bit of Twilight Princess, a little bit of Wind Waker, and Breath of the Wild. That's really about it. So the other games like from the old series, I couldn't quite remember for the life of me, other than just like that one is like when it's like the Fallen Timeline where apparently in the same setting it's like what if where it's like Link gets defeated, although that's kind of confusing, but whatever. Sometimes it can also be an abandoned timeline. I just look at it as just like it's this timeline that's just like it's fallen, but not in a way that you expect like, oh yeah, Link gets defeated or whatnot. There's probably like a lot going on with that, other than I go with the other part where it's just like it probably was abandoned. Like something happened, Link doesn't necessarily defeat Ganondorf, nor does anything happen. Like of course like Ocarina of Time still happens, maybe, but I don't know. I just don't think like well maybe I don't know. That one is always confusing. But it starts, with A Link to the Past, whatever. So I don't remember quite how like stories usually go for that. So especially the old school Legend of Zelda Adventures Link. Other than if I remember correctly, in the old NES days, I believe Link does defeat Ganon, who's now like a whole pig monster or whatnot because he was terrorizing everyone and stuff, whatever. Then Adventures Link is when he's 16, defeats Ganon again, saves another princess who's also named Zelda, so that's kind of cool. So there's two Zeldas somehow, but whatever. that one's just confusing. But otherwise, yeah, that happened. But I'm gonna go ahead and briefly say real quick with like Archie go a little brief on both Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, and how I'm gonna do this is like this. So how we're doing time? Okay, we're doing okay. So let's just go ahead and just do it like this. So for what was it? Oh yeah, on Twilight Princess, we're just gonna go with just like the most important things that was going on. Starts off with anything, they all wake up, whatever, blah blah blah. But how this starts actually is a little bit different this time. So the Twilies, followed by Zant, whatnot, um, were terrorizing Hyrule once again. Like it always gets terrorized so many times, which is just kind of crazy to think about. But it goes like that, gets terrorized. I think I remember Link was trying to stop somebody, but then he gets hit and then turns into a werewolf for a bit. Then meets Mia or Mia, who is a way better companion than Navi, who actually is a decent and ends up becoming like the best character, especially like later on in the story. They company with each other for quite some time to go through a lot of stuff that goes on, especially in that weird scene with um Link and the Dark Links or whatever, who represent like the Dark Twilights or the Dark Tribes. I forgot the interlopers. Yeah, the Dark Interlopers, where they try to dabble into magic to try to take over Hyrule with the whole Triforce or whatnot, which is kind of the most important thing in the whole series. Is what binds Ganondorf, the Links, and Zelda is the Triforce. Triforce of Courage, Triforce of Strength, and Triforce of what was it? Courage, which is what Link represents, or all the Links represents. But it was only briefly mentioned on Breath of the Wild, so that's kind of interesting. But otherwise, we're getting off track. So how it kind of ends is that it is in a different way. So Gat ends up getting defeated by Mifa, or yeah, Mifa, not Mifa. That's the other character. Hold on, just a second, guys. Just real quick. Okay, guys, I've been calling her by her wrong name. My bad here. Her name is Midna. So they accompany Link, especially in wolf form, gets accompanied by Mifa, who is one of the best supporting characters in the series and stuff, especially in the Twilight Princess series, and just they do a lot together. And I believe it was her that also ends up defeating Zant. She then gets the power of the I forgot what it was called, but it was just she calls upon the power of her people, Twilights. Others just it wasn't forced deity power, but it was definitely similar. But it was just it was just unique to the Twilights. I forgot what it was called. It was something, but apparently after she did all that, she dies. Technically speaking, I don't know. Ganondorf does something crazy. He does some a lot of missing things afterwards, especially when he comes back from his botched execution, because he was revealed to have you know try to overcome the kingdom or whatnot, all because the child Link, who was in the whole adult timeline or whatnot, warned Zelda about what was happening and warned everyone about Ganondorf basically snitching on him essentially, but for the right reasons, because if he did not, how the adult timeline would have turned out. But otherwise, that happened. So Ganondorf escapes his thing, uses Zan for all of his worth, and then it ends where it's just like Ganondorf gets defeated in the most epic way possible, gets a sword punch in, just as similarly as his ancestor, who is Demise, from way back in the Skyward days. It's like super duper similar. Where it's just like the Links just like plunge a sword right through his freaking chest. But like with Ganondorf, it's just like a lot more like devastating. It was like, ugh, like his face was like expressed like, it's so painful. It was great, man. Whereas like in Skyward Sword, they don't really show that, which, man, that sucks. I wish they did, where they just like show like, Demise acting where it's like, this is good to me. Like it would have been nice, but hey, it was great to like see like Ganondorf get defeated in a way that was like epic, but then he dies epically too, where he just like defiantly stands tall and says like, "This is not over yet," and then he tries to call upon the power. Then I think there was a neck snap with Zant somehow, which caused Ganondorf to die, and then he just dies standing, which is like the most badass way anybody could die, hero or villain. Like the fact that he's just standing there, just dead. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but at the same time, it's Ganondorf. Like that version of Ganondorf, like he was just not. He was a force to be reckoned with. So like, he was definitely a tough son of a gun to like get down. And now let's go ahead and briefly talk about Breath of the Wild. I think it's gonna be a lot more brief because it's just like, I think it's already been covered a lot. So if you guys want to like check out more about like Breath of the Wild, check out Master 10 Abandoned. Or going by Bandit Crisis or whatever his name is, or other like Zelda channels where they talk about this, extensively. But definitely, I'm gonna just say very briefly, real quick, the Link in the series, he gets like the Aang treatment where it's just like, he stays in psychosis or whatnot for like 100 years, wakes up into a completely different world that is unbeknownst to what he used to know, because he has like memory fogs of whatever, because anesthesia essentially, like he doesn't have any recollection of what happened in the past, so it's just like he awakens to a different world that he's completely unfamiliar with. There's a calamity going on. There's this like princess that's talking to him, seems like he knows the guy, he doesn't know her. Then the stranger ends up becoming King Rowan, who is, again, the king of Hyrule. And Hyrule still, for some freaking reason, after what had happened for centuries of what was going on with the whole timeline, shenanigans with whatever, cycle repeating itself, even more convoluted than Attack of Titans, which is, again, crazy to talk about, but whatever. Timelines are confusing. But, I believe what happens is like 100 years ago, there was a calamity that happened, yada yada. I think you kind of already know the deal if you remember, like from the memories and stuff, that like there was a calamity that was going on. Every main characters that were like there, present in the moment, especially the champions, who like are awesome. Like my personal favorite was the big guy. All right, actually, let me just look up the character names real quick, just to remember. So, character names. Daruk, Mifa, Rivali, Urbosa. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. Daruk was the big guy that was just like, the cheery, charismatic, kind of cool dude. Mifa was the childhood love interest of Link, kind of not-ish. Rivali is the rival of Link. Urbosa is like, technically speaking, and not only to Link, but also another mother figure to Zelda. And even like this one too, where the Zelda Tinks or whatnot is a lot more strong too with these two, because they care for each other. But this Zelda is like a lot more of a tsundere. She has more personality, where she's like, oh, I hate you. Why are you such a weird stoic guy? I want you to have a little bit more, I guess, expressions of emotions or whatever. But as soon as they got to know each other from the stories, whatever, blah 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 blah, they start to get lovey dovey ish until at the end where he gets psychosis, and then of course if you guys have already played it, especially towards the end, you probably know that Calamity Ganon gets defeated. However way possible, even if you were to start from beginning all the way to end, where it's just Link just defeats Ganondorf just with 3 bars of health. But preferably, I'll just say just you go through a lot of stuff that goes on with memories, goes through fighting against the champions with the whole I forgot what the machines are called, but just those things, all 4 of them, conquering that with the Blight Ganons or whatnot, using that to defeat Ganon for a bit, just chop that boy up, and then Ganondorf gets defeated, and I think it ends in a secret way where it's just it still shows that there's still potential between Zelda and Link, but it ends where it's just where Tears of the Kingdom is gonna pick up, where they're gonna travel up in the sky, which from what I've heard is gonna go right back to the Skyward Sword days, but this time around with the Zonai thing going on, and then this ancient being that's gonna be very present in the story, and Ganondorf, who's now a skeleton, coming back, so that's gonna be pretty good. And otherwise, that's about it. So to chug it up, to put it in summary here, Legend of Zelda is pretty much about a boy, a demon or whatever, or in this case, a man who does become a demon, and a lady or girl who is a princess who has the power of the goddess Halia, and that's really about it. And any other games that they're all in, it's pretty much a cycle between the hero spirit, something that's got to do with Demise's menace or whatnot, the energy of bad, evil itself, and a princess who shares the blood of the goddess Hylia, and it's been going on ever since Skyward Sword, all the way down to Breath of the Wild, and in between that, we had Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and the Fallen timelines, and all types of interesting shenanigans that goes down. So to summarize all of it, is basically a boy with the hero spirit taking on a big ass demon to defeat, or sometimes get defeated. I don't know how it usually plays with Ocarina of Time sometimes, but it's usually more of on the lines he does defeat the guy, saves the world, gets with the princess. Maybe not necessarily that, but just well, it depends on how it goes. Because in the Skyward Sword, it happens, and then technically speaking, it's happening in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But in anything else, Ocarina of Time and anything else like that, probably not. But otherwise, it's just a summary of just how it is, just with all that going on. It's, again, I feel that one's a little bit more convoluted than Attack on Titan, because at least then it's just it's one constant person that's just doing the most, whereas just Legend of Zelda is just, it's basically a cycle within a cycle within a cycle, essentially. It's that whole what was that song that was in Ocarina of Time where it just goes Song of Winds. Yeah, I think it was either Song of Winds or something like that. It goes that one. I don't want to go too crazy because I don't want to get copyrighted from Nintendo because I'm humming a song. Apparently, you get copyrighted for that. Whatever. I'm not gonna get too much onto that. Although my personal favorite is that one. Come on, that one's the best. That one, yeah. Anyways, I think we're gonna go ahead and stop right there for Legend of Zelda. Now, let's go ahead and get into Kingdom Hearts. Now, I've never played the game, but I do know a little bit about how the timeline is. And I usually make the meme out of this because here's the thing. Anything and everything about Kingdom Hearts is canon. You might think even the spin-offs, oh, it's just a spin-off that might not be related to, the series, like, Kingdom Hearts, version 1.00735, whatever number. You might think, oh, it's just a filler. It's just not really related to the story. Oh, no, it is. No. It totally is. You might think, well, how would that work? Oh, let me tell you how it works. It's Disney. They don't care. So with that, it's just like, what's a lot more convoluted with this one is just like, it's basically, you combine essentially Attack of Titans and Legend of Zelda, combine that shit together, and you got Kingdom Hearts essentially. Even more so because, like, with Disney and whatnot, with its own weird convoluted stories, even with Pixar as well, where it's just like, don't get me started on the Pixar timeline. That one is just, that's gonna be a lot longer to talk about because so many moves are like connected in some weird, strange ways, even though it doesn't even feel like it, but it does. That's how it feels with Kingdom Hearts. It's just like, it's just so much is going on from the first game all the way up to the third or the fourth. I don't know if they're doing a fourth game at some point. Maybe they will, but Kingdom Hearts starts with like Sora, and I believe there was Sora, Kairi, and there was, I forgot the other guy's name, but let me see. Kingdom Hearts. Oops. Character name. So Sora, Riku. Oh yeah, Riku, the rival, Kairi, and a lot of other characters. So of course, it also has like crossovers of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, which is also like part of Disney or whatever. And oh yeah, here we go. Let me show you how convoluted this really gets. Like, this just like explains like character relationship diagram, whatever. Just whatever. Just look at this. Just look at this. Just real quick. Hold on. This is what essentially what Kingdom Hearts is. Just look at this. What's going on here? Like, basically, this guy is the same as this guy. It's also the same as this guy. Also the same as literally all these characters here. Like, again, y'all think that Aaron, Ganondorf, and whatnot is like confusing. This dude, this single dude, I forgot what this guy's name is. It's hard to say what his name is or whatever. But he's essentially just the main villain for everything. It does not matter. Even if it's like not even like part of the story. It's just like it's there. It's it's weird. But at the same time, it is what it is. Even though I love Sora, man, he's like a really dope character. He's like essentially like a pretty cool like main character. Like, he goes through a lot of change in the story. And I think he also like fights against like other characters like Cloud and stuff, which is kind of crazy to think about. Because even like Final Fantasy as well, it's kind of confusing. But otherwise, it's still good, pretty good. But I want to leave you guys with this. So, how it starts is usually like, Sora, I think waking up from like the waves. This just from the beginning part. From what I can kind of like recall a little bit, from as best as I can remember, he fights against like the heartless ones. He then goes on this journey to like try to like save his friends from like being corrupted by the heart ones, by with the keys, with the key swords. I forgot they're called. I think they're called key swords or keyblades. My bad. Key blades. Yes, sir. He'd be using that to like essentially to take off the heartless and then fight against like various other Disney villains, which is kind of cool to see. Meets other Disney characters, of course, like already mentioned, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, Tarzan, anybody. Like, even in the Final Fantasy series, he'll just meet like characters like Cloud and then a few others that are in like the Final Fantasy series as well. I think he also fights against Sephiroth somehow, which is I don't know. I don't know. Did Sora ever fought against Sephiroth? Because like I know Cloud did, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But otherwise, all I'm gonna say is just like say what I can remember and how it usually ends with the story. Because I actually do want to play it like Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 or whatever. Because I'm not gonna do the whole like versions. Although for that one, I'm probably just gonna just look it up the whole entire story. I'm gonna probably link it in the description below to show you guys how it all like plays out. Where it's like this particular YouTuber, I'm trying to remember his name. I'll just put in the description, and then like if his name pops up or just pops up around here somewhere, um, it'll be shown, and then yeah, you guys can definitely check it out to like get more information on that because I feel like those people um, have a lot more knowledge of like the timeline a little bit more than I can. Other than what I can remember is like from the best I can of how I remember how things played out, especially from like watching gameplays. I think in the end, Sora does defeat some type of bad person. I think it was the evil witch from Snow White, maybe, or something, or it was like no, it was the main baddie himself, I think, but he was cosplaying as like, or he was like using Riku's body to try to like defeat Sora or whatnot, but Sora overpowers the guy, and the guy gets sealed away, I believe, in the first move, first game, and I believe Sora, Kari, and Riku, regroup best friends, and they continue on with their adventures in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, and that's all I can remember. So I'm sorry if things got a little bit more confusing there, but again, like I said, these timelines are very, very difficult to sometimes explain and sometimes like articulate. But I hope you guys kind of enjoyed it, and uh, didn't like lose your brain cells to it like I'm kind of am, because I am low key about to lose sleep after this. But it's all good. This is all for you guys' entertainment. At the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoyed this little like timeline breakdown of you know what was it? Attack of Titan, Star Wars, Legend of Zelda, and Kingdom Hearts. I hope you guys enjoyed all the timelines that I was able to list off for this episode, which will have like part one, part two combined together. So here's how the timelines are gonna be a little bit. So it's gonna be like this: you got the introduction, they got part one, which is gonna be, of course, Attack of Titan, and I believe what was it? Star Wars timeline. So that would be the first part, and then the second part, which is like what I'm currently recording right now, is of course the Legend of Zelda timeline and the Kingdom Hearts timeline, and it's gonna end, and there's gonna be ending part, which is we're getting close to it. At this point, we're already at the end. Fuck it, because I'm about to go ahead and end this because I actually need my sleep here in a minute. So right now, let's go ahead and end this here in a way that will make sense of all this. So timelines. It's a fun way to like look back on and just like connect the dots in some ways, but it can get confusing and it can like override yourself. So the most important thing is make sure you rest a little bit, take some time to articulate what's going on with like stuff, and then eventually the the dots will just somehow connect on its own, and you'll start to be like, ooh, okay, this makes sense, stuff like that. Like just with timelines, it's just like it's always gonna be complicated, but if you just understand, basics of just like how connecting the dots of like how things work, in timelines, especially if you're into that like I don't know, like detective stuff, what I'm saying, like noir or crime stuff is just like it's essentially that, but it's just like you connect the dots and pieces together with just essentially a video game, essentially, from or anime or a show, whatever you guys are into. Like you can even apply this to like stuff like anime, with Dragon Ball Z, with any other show like Naruto, One Piece, um, Tokyo Ghoul, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, or anything like that. Or for the video games, you could go with God of War, the Elder Scrolls series, Kingdom Hearts, of course, Ratchet Clank, Jack and the other thing, Crash Bandicoot, Super Mario Bros. Especially if you were watching like Game Theory back in the day, where he was connecting dots with, how timelines work with like two Mario's. So you could check that one out, or Legend of Zelda, or anything really. Far Cry, Max Payne, and the Just Cause. I forgot what it's actually called. Or Saints Row is a good one. All types of stuff. It's just what I recommend for anyone if they're gonna be doing stuff like trying to connect the dots with timelines or theories or whatnot, is just to make sure that you understand a little bit of basics and understand like the complexity of like how things go, and then just do your best to come up with your own thing a little bit. But on top of that, if it's like something that you don't know, sometimes just leave it to experts that are like really good at doing this to like like really explain it in full details, because like that's just how it is. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of the timelines. I'm sorry if it got like a little confusing in like a lot of places. I try my best not to make it too confusing, but I understand that it probably is like a little bit too confusing about a lot of stuff, especially if you're not like such like a huge like weeb or nerd like me, where it's just like you're like, oh my god, there's like so much going on. Like I feel you on that, because like I feel like there's a lot going on, but hey, it's always just important to like if you really like know your stuff, you know your stuff. Because heck, you can even apply this to Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead if you really want to as well. Or as a matter of fact, you can even do that with The Last of Us, game or not. Heck, there's a HBO series coming out. You can even connect the dots to that too. In a in a way, like you can use the game as a reference to like the movie, or sorry, the show. But I think they're gonna do something a little different on the show, as they would sometimes do with any other movies or show based off a video game. So it's gonna be completely different. But otherwise, it's kind of the same thing. But anyways, yeah, all I'm gonna say is timelines are confusing and complex, and sometimes just so difficult to like manage to like talk about. But as long as you like at least somewhat know how to like connect the dots and just like do your best to explain, that's all you can really do. So I hope you guys were able to understand. Again, if you have any questions, I will do my absolute best to answer it as best as possible, especially if it's like timelines like this, or if it's like you get confused by it. I'll do my best to like in the comments to like try to articulate what's like going on with then each series. I'll just like talk about as best as possible. If not, then I'll just like recommend you guys just check out the channels that I will link in the description real quick to like let you guys like check out, to of course like give them a follow and stuff, to like support big channels and small channels and whatnot, but also just more importantly just to like get more insights onto the games and video game and anime and stuff like that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Weeb Talk episode. I know this was a lot. This was quite a lot, even for me. But I hope I was able to do my absolute best to articulate, a lot of things. And if you guys are still confused, I will do my best to next time, make it not too convoluted. But again, you never really know with this. So all I ask is just, your understanding, and more importantly, just I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of me just rambling on about things. And that's about it. So I will see you guys probably tomorrow. Fuck it, because I'll just go ahead and rest up a little bit for tonight, and then yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed this Weeb Talk episode. I will see you guys tomorrow, and that's all I can say. Stay peaceful, stay amazing, stay awesome. Most importantly, stay being weird, stay being you, stay doing whatever the fuck you're doing because you are a most amazing person, man, woman, non-binary. I don't even give an ass of a fuck if you're a red, blue, without person. As long as you continue to do what you gotta do and love yourself and take care of your mental health and take care of your body because that's the only thing that you have in this world, and just continue to do you. And as always, peace, love, and positivity to all. And I will see you guys in another episode of. I've done this in a long time, but you know what? I think I still have enough energy to do it. Here we go. Weeb Talk. And I'll see you guys later. Peace. Bye.